Hi everyone, this is Ramalinga Prasad Kuppa. Welcome to my channel, Pharma World. Today's topic is Analytical Method Validation Part 2, a detailed explanation for each parameter, detection limit, quantification limit, and specificity. As continuation to Part 1, we will now discuss the details of detection limit, quantitation limit, and specificity in this video. In the next concluding part 3, we will discuss range and linearity parameters. Detection limit, DL or LOD. LOD means limit of detection. DL is very simple to understand. It is the amount of analyte that can be detected. A practical live example will help you to understand this aspect. The smallest particulate matter that human eye can detect is around 100 microns. This is called the detection limit of the eye. Similarly, 20 to 30 decibels range is the detection limit for a normal, healthy human ear to be able to hear. Anything less than that, human ear cannot detect the sound. In both the cases, it is certain that there is something that is detected at DL level, but you are not clear what exactly it is. In HPLC analysis, the baseline is not straight. There are minor fluctuations. The range of fluctuations are so narrow, you are not sure whether there is any response due to any impurity. Anything more than the disturbance, which is called as noise in HPLC terminology, is considered as a response due to impurity. The small response may be 2 or 3 times the average response range. For DL determination, conceptually, noise and signal aspects should be understood well. So there should be some differentiation between noise and signal to establish detection limit. I hope it is understood the concept of noise and signal. 2:1 or 3:1 is generally considered suitable for signal to noise ratio for determination of DL. As discussed, if the response is 2 times or 3 times the noise level, this is considered as detection limit. We will discuss in the next slide on determination of DL in HPLC analysis. Since the amount of DL for an analyte is very low, the area counts for detection of the analyte from replicate injections will not be precise. The variation in peak areas at detection limit is not consistent. For example, the difference between 1 and 2 is only 1 digit, but if you calculate statistically, the variation is 100% from 1 to 2. If the value is between 99 and 100, variation is only 1%. So, since the variation at detection limit is very high, it is not practical or possible to evaluate statistically with accuracy and precision. This is called noise. This is the result of the fluctuations in the baseline. This is called signal due to the analyte. This is more than the noise. S by N is the ratio of signal against the noise. It is calculated as 2 capital H by small h. DL can be calculated as per the formula given below. 3.3 multiplied by standard deviation of blank or the standard error divided by the slope. So the formula DL is equal to 3.3 multiplied by sigma divided by the slope S. This picture from US Pharmacopoeia explains more than words. In this picture, you can see the minor fluctuations which is called the noise at the baseline level. The area counts at this level are very insignificant. See the area counts for signal, it is more than the noise level. The calculation for DL is done by this formula. Again, don't get disturbed on how to do the calculations by this formula. Your Excel sheet will do this for you. This is only to explain you the basic concept of the detection limit. For calculation purposes, inject solutions at linear concentrations like 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10 micrograms per ml level. Tabulate the data obtained for all concentrations with concentration at x-axis and the area counts in y-axis. Go to data analysis icon on the Excel sheet and select regression option. You get a chart with the regression statistics details including R-square value, standard error sigma, intercept and slope S. Simply calculate by multiplying 3.3 with standard error and divide by the result with the slope S. You get the detection limit. This calculation is also done by the software of your HPLC. This can be checked manually for knowledge. Let us see more on QL in the next slide. Quantitation limit QL or LOQ. LOQ means limit of quantitation. QL is the amount of analyte that could be quantified accurately with precision and accuracy. At QL level, the areas are significantly higher than the DL level. So, as described above, the replicate areas of peaks can be evaluated statistically for precision and accuracy. QL can be derived from the same formula used for DL calculation, replacing 3.3 with 10. That is, QL is equal to 10 multiplied by standard deviation of blank or standard error sigma divided by the slope S. So QL will be 10 multiplied by sigma divided by the slope S. QL can be derived from DL as per the formula. You are replacing 3.3 with 10. That's all. It is the same calculation. Alternatively, 3 times the DL can be assigned as QL. So it is easy to remember that QL is 3 times of DL. It is 3.3 multiplied by 3 will be 9.9, which is rounded off to 10. LOQ of the method must be equal to or less than the impurity acceptance criteria. This is important point. QL must be equal to or less than the specification limit of the compound of interest. Because if the QL is greater than the specification limit, how can the amount of impurity at a level less than the QL can be determined? Let us see what is specificity. Specificity is the ability to identify and determine the analyte unambiguously in the presence of other components that are likely to be present in the sample. Specificity is the unique identification of compound. The other components in the compound of interest should not interfere. In HPLC analysis, the retention time will be specific for a particular compound under specific test conditions. The other components include impurities, degradants. So the other components in API include the other co-eluting impurities and or degradants which will appear on either side of the compound of interest. Dosage forms will also have excipients that are used during fabrication process. So the drug product will additionally have inactive materials and its likely impurities. Lack of specificity of an individual analytical procedure may be compensated by other supporting analytical procedures. In certain cases where cis-trans isomers are present, as an example, sometimes they may appear at the same retention time. In such situations, other supporting optical rotation test may be taken as support for specificity. First step for establishing the specificity for API is to inject the blank solution. Injecting blank solution will show if any impurities are eluting from the blank solution too. This also establishes if there is any contamination in the blank solution. In such cases of accidental contamination, it is recommended to prepare the solutions freshly again using AR grade or HPLC grade reagents. A placebo will be injected for drug dosage form to establish that there is no interference from other components of the drug product from the API in it. A placebo is a combination of all components except the API. This will establish if any impurities are present in the placebo. Spiked samples of API and other impurities will be injected to establish that the API and the other potential impurities separate clearly with a resolution factor of 2. This step is required to establish the specificity of the peak with those of other impurities or degradants. Resolution 2 is recommended in system suitability. This is derived from the plus or minus 4 sigma on the Gaussian distribution curve. The separation at this plus or minus 4 sigma condition is more than 99.999%. You may refer to another video on this with title Understanding of System Suitability Parameters, which is about an year old. Peak purity can be established by PDA detector. Peak purity is another important aspect. It establishes the purity of the component as 100% or less. However, this is done as a separate exercise using PDA detector, photodiode array detector. The PDA scans the component in 3 dimensions: the time, the response for area, and the wavelength between 200 and 400 nanometers. We will discuss about the PDA on some other opportunity. It is important to understand these terms DL, QL, and specificity while carrying out the analysis. It is important to have these parameters established as part of analytical method validation in addition to the precision and accuracy parameters that were discussed in part 1. Necessary program files, data, and chromatograms must be attached at every stage of establishing the parameter. This is part of GMP requirement. Unless the objective evidence is submitted, it cannot be established on the method validation. So the validation docket should have all these data files and chromatograms filed. I hope that the basic concept for parameters DL, QL and specificity are understood well. The calculations are also typically carried out by the software of your HPLC system. However, it is important to know the exact intent of these parameters. Thanks for watching. For more videos, please do subscribe, like and share. Also, please leave a message in the comments box for any further support. Thank you.